My friend, today will be a very personal episode. It seems to be about health, but also about my health. About 2 years ago, I encountered a problem with even more hair loss. As a doctor who should know the subject and be able to find a good specialist, I realized that this is a very challenging problem to solve. And why is this a problem? Because many people try to capitalize on this to find some way. Everyone wants to, but unfortunately, it's the bad people who take advantage of this to profit off you. I've tried everything. I've tried all kinds of remedies, all kinds of methods. That's all there is. I've studied it. I've tried it on myself because I was ready for a transplant, of course, to fly to Istanbul or to do it in Moscow. But I didn't want to because all of this has its downsides. Today I will tell you why you are going bald, what might be causing it, what diagnosis you need to undergo to understand why you are going bald, and how you can realistically deal with it often. And about the main treatment methods that exist, I will honestly tell you. Although I'm not a trichologist and won't handle this, a trichologist should. However, many of you will never visit a trichologist for various reasons or simply won't make it. And if you do go, this information will be extremely useful, so be sure to watch this episode to the end. I sincerely want to bring you maximum benefits so that you once and for all defeat your baldness. Shall we start? How did I even realize that I'm going bald? Everyone has a moment when they realize that baldness is a problem. And until you're going bald, you don't notice it, and you don't understand that it's a problem for anyone at all. And when they told me that someone was going bald, well, they're going bald. What's the big deal? But when you start to go bald, your life changes before and after. How did I realize that I was going bald? My doctoral dissertation defense, I'm sitting, they're saying good words, everything. The defense went through. And my brother sends me a photo of me from behind, and I have such a huge bald spot, and I think, God, what is this? Where did I not notice? We don't see ourselves from behind. And after they drew my attention to this, I started noticing, I looked at old photos and noticed that my hair started falling out more here. I have these wolf ears, as I call them, started to appear. I watched the episodes, and indeed, now I will ask the editor to put the episodes here, and you will see that my hair really became very thin. My friend, if you have a story like mine, how you notice that you start to go bald, then share this story in the comments under this video. I will happily read them, and the best stories I will feature and gift my vitamins. So don't be shy, share, we will all read, and maybe it will become easier for you. You will feel better, so share, let's start. And I started to get nervous, overthink, and even more so, because of this, they started to pour out. Paradox, but my baldness started with the fact that I was very stressed. I was stressed. There was a problem with iron. There was a lack of B vitamins, a lot of problems. And interestingly, when you are stressed, hair falls out not when you have some, say, acute stress period, but after a few months. For example, you have entrance exams to university, or for example, at work, an important period, you are very stressed. For instance, it was spring. Hair begins falling out in late summer or early autumn. So let's, my friend, look at what the main causes are. I'm focused on myself today. We have a big soulful episode planned to help you figure things out. Because the one who doesn't go bald will never understand how important it is, and the one who goes bald, it's like a separate brotherhood. These are immediately jokes about baldness. You immediately find a friend who is also balding, and you are usually together in search of what helps. The first reason, yes, you asked genetics, Sasha, can genetics lead to this? Yes, indeed, it can be understood. In fact, it's quite simple, even without any expensive genetic tests. Look at your ancestors. Usually you are very much like them. And my father had the same feature. His hair started to fall out around my age, and the hairline began to recede. I even have a scar on my forehead that used to be under my hair. So genetics, yes? What does it come down to? Why do they laugh? The thing is that the follicles, these very hairs that fall out most often, it's all that doesn't concern the terminal segment. And the whiskers still don't fall out. That's all our mess. It falls out because it is either too sensitive to male hormones or there is too much of this male hormone. Not testosterone, but specifically dihydrotestosterone. So, if we look at our bodybuilder friends, a lot of bodybuilders are bald. And the larger the dose of the drug they use, the more often they become bald. Therefore, the heavier the athlete, the larger the heavyweight category, the more often, especially if the athlete is experienced, he becomes bald. This type of baldness may have genetic causes, and understanding this is crucial for determining the appropriate treatment approach. There are drugs that block the transition of testosterone into this dihydrotestosterone, and thanks to the fact that you block the transition, there is less of it. And accordingly, this factor, because of which your hair begins to fall out, also becomes less. Many, especially resellers, they just want to transplant. They just want to make money off you. They transplant and move on, but the issue persists as they fail to address it. And in the end, these hairs fall out, you come to them for a transplant again, for the second, for the third time, and in the end, only that part that you transplanted remains on your head. Instead of fighting to keep all these hairs that are left, they essentially force you without engaging in prevention to come back over and over again. Transplanting enough hair can be challenging, which is likely the primary drawback of using the donor zone. How many people have I seen who have given up on their hair not falling out? In the end, what they transplanted falls out. It's not enough to cover all these zones. And they are forced to shave, and they give up very often. There's a feeling that you've been shot to pieces. The whole back of the head becomes like a marble countertop. And in the end, you shave, instead of already, yes, such a style, now I'm bald, I shave, the whole head is in scars. Especially there is a method when they don't selectively take follicles, but in a swath imagine they take a large segment of skin. As you saw, they use a rotary cutter, similar to a lawnmower, to take a straight segment of skin, transplant from it, and then sew your skin up. And in the end, this scary incision, like trepanation right on the head, stays with you forever. Therefore, be careful. Transplantation is a good thing, but it always needs to be done in the right place at the right time. And if there is a reason for androgenic alopecia, don't forget that these hairs that have been transplanted are not sensitive to androgens. But the ones that are there, they will fall out, and the problem needs to be addressed at the root.
So they fell out, the hair, will they all never grow back? Or when I stop taking the medication, will they still grow back?
Interesting question. What if I stop taking the medication? For example, I was using Minoxidil, it made my hair fall out, I stopped using it, and they grow back. Most often, unfortunately, no. And these processes, they are one-sided. So it's very important not to start, not to allow, and not to wait for the moment when there is already such a gigantic bald spot, and then when something can still be corrected. And all of this is also greatly influenced by our lifestyle. Stress, lack of sleep, deficiency of microelements, lack of minerals, skin diseases, headaches. There are different reasons, and there are also hormonal reasons, because when we say hormonal reasons, there are other reasons as well. For example, a problem with the thyroid gland can also be the reason why you have a problem. And depending on what the hair loss looks like, you can suspect, for example, that you have an autoimmune nature of hair loss. Because if there's stress, if there's a lack of vitamins, it's usually diffuse hair loss. That is, remember, if it's everywhere little by little, it's most likely a diffuse form. If these hides, then the lobe goes back or the occiput, you start to go bald, while often you are still hairy at this. This is androgenetic alopecia. If you have such circles right in non-standard places, this is very often an autoimmune process. By the way, the autoimmune process is treated very well. That is, your own immune system begins to attack your follicles, and because of this, hair begins to fall out. You, in principle, can already at home, having listened to this video, understand what reasons you have and accordingly think about what to do. I recommend, regardless of whether you are in the Pope by washing or not in the Pope by washing, always check what is causing the hair growth to weaken, slow down, or even stop altogether. What tests do we need to take? First, hormones are testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, and thyroid hormones are usually TTRIT4, thyroglobulin, and anti-TPO base. And we check if everything is in order there. The iron level must definitely check the ferritin level, as I remember. Approximately for men, ferritin is on the lower border, but in my understanding this is approximately your weight multiplied by 1. If you weigh 220 pounds, your ferritin level should be at least 100. Low levels may indicate deficiencies in iron, vitamin B, and other vitamins. Well, at least 9, 12, I, omega-3 index. Now, this is the basis of more analyses, but this is the basis that will be sufficient to see if there is a deficient condition. The thing is, all vitamins, even though I produce vitamin I, as mentioned in my videos, these methods are only effective in conditions of deficiency. You don't need to take iron if iron is not in deficit. And that's exactly why, in order to understand whether you need a vitamin, whether you need iron or not, you need to check all of this. friends. I have my own production, which is many years old. It is located in a special economic zone in Dubna. Thank you for trusting my production, my vitamins. It's a great honor for me. I originally made these vitamins for family, friends, loved ones, and it turned out that they went public and are very popular. Now, these vitamins are available not only on my own website, but also on my marketplace. This is Beauty Health Marketplace, where I probably decided for myself the main pain. These are underpants. What we encounter on many marketplaces is probably the only marketplace now where there are no fakes. That's why I'll leave a link to my vitamins on this marketplace under this video. Go ahead, look and be healthy, my friend, and let's look at the main treatment methods with you. So you've checked, made sure you don't have any deficiencies, you've convinced yourself that you don't have any autoimmune process, now you already have hair that has fallen out. The first methods that promise you and say that everything will be fine now, it's a technique. The technique is good, I've done it too. What's the essence of it? They take your own blood, centrifuge it, and a certain layer where there are cells with growth factors is taken and injections are made. I did it in the knee because I had a knee surgery. These growth factors helped me recover. Women, by the way, do platelet-rich plasma therapy on the face. We, men, do it on the head. Generally, it is considered desirable to take this course, even if you are flying for a layover. These sessions are done approximately once a week. In total, you need at least 5, ideally 10 such sessions. If you didn't act on the first reason, you don't need to think that from platelet-rich plasma therapy, how I would find a place for platelet-rich plasma therapy. Platelet-rich plasma therapy is an enhancer of the effect that your hair has just been transplanted. It will either fix the result or slow down existing processes. It's like in complex therapy, so platelet-rich plasma therapy is more likely yes than no. And therefore we put a plus. Second, there is such a new method, you probably haven't even heard of it. It's called Regenera. I also did it together with a friend. Here, under local anesthesia, fragments of skin are taken. Not skin, but such as a spatula, they are taken to the depth. Imagine under anesthesia, the scalp strands of hair, and from these strands of hair, that is the entire follicle surrounded by meat, is directly cut out 3 to 4 somewhere donor pillars. It is loaded into a special cartridge, and a special mixture is prepared in a special device, which is then filtered. And you get, in essence, just one injection, and they also shave your head. The effect of one such session is equivalent to 10 sessions. In terms of price, by the way, it turns out to be about the same. That is, once again, it probably won't solve some deep problem of yours. But as a support mechanism once a year, either courses or such a method. I believe it's possible. That's why I put a plus, but still it's all in addition, like a bonus, a supplement. But he will never solve the main problem. The same thing, mesotherapy, you ask, does it work? Does it not work? It's all the same. Yes, it's like a bonus. Everything is like a bonus. If you have not eliminated and corrected an iron deficiency, let's say a severe iron deficiency, your hair will fall out. Look at women. For example, how actively their hair falls out, becomes thin, despite the fact that they have no hormonal predispositions for hair loss. We men are just as sensitive to this. So this Paraja Jenner, yes, let's move on. Boys often take the main drugs. Here is the basis of hair loss. What we encounter is finasteride and analogs, and the second is minoxidil. Let's figure it out. Finasteride is a drug that blocks the conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. We urologists use and work a lot with this drug. In very large doses, which some people unfortunately use, it can be dangerous. They just buy a drug for the treatment of prostate adenoma, and they start taking a whole tablet. When we prescribe this drug to a healthy adult man, he immediately starts having problems with erection, with potency, so the dose is important, the usual dose. If we discuss any prostate drug, for instance, it's a quarter. But in fact, there are drugs in the world that are specifically against hair loss. These are inhibitors, 5-alpha reductases, for example, Propecia. This is not an advertisement. This is just an example of a drug. It is not registered, but there is a drug in the world that is prescribed for this purpose. Therefore, if you have androgenetic alopecia, then take it. Yes, it works and will really help. But in some situations, it can really affect libido. That is, desire can weaken. Can it cause erectile dysfunction? In principle, it can, but it depends on the dose. If it's a therapeutic dose prescribed by technologists, then it's extremely rare. Statistics show that only 5% of people experience erectile dysfunction at these drug dosage levels. Therefore, the basic therapy is still phenosterol. Let's move on. Minoxidil. What is minoxidil? Minoxidil is a drug that enhances blood flow. That is, we are enhancing blood flow here. And the two most commonly used formulas are 5% and 15% minoxidil. It is usually recommended to start with 5%. Did I use minoxidil? Yes, I used minoxidil. Did I feel its effect? Yes, I felt its effect very well, and my barber also felt it, whom I recommended it to. And he had such a gigantic bald spot gone. There are downsides to minoxidil. It can cause headaches, skin can turn red, side effects can be individual, but any medication can do that with minoxidil. What's important to know is that when you start taking it, you kind of get hooked on it, and you're forced to do it constantly. And there is a period of taking minoxidil. It usually lasts a month or two. People start not knowing about this period and start quitting. Why do they start quitting? Because when they use minoxidil preparations, their hair starts to fall out more. Imagine having little hair already, and you start using minoxidil or various sprays, only to find your hair falling out in chunks. The most crucial thing is not to fear, as this is normal. In the first 2 months, hair loss may intensify, but afterward, there will be even more hair. In my experience, the full effect of minoxidil is noticeable after 4 to 6 months. You should see the full effect you're counting on after this time period. It's important not just to apply minoxidil, but to do it regularly, to do it consistently. You can't apply it for a week, then not apply it for 2 weeks. Secondly, you need to apply minoxidil, but before that, you need to traumatize the skin. That is, there are special derma rollers that you should use to traumatize the areas that you want to grow. That is, where you have bald spots and where you want the hair to start growing. Therefore, we traumatize with the roller. By the way, you must definitely disinfect in chlorhexidine, and after that, spray minoxidil. Start with 5%. You can start once a day, then to enhance the effect, you can do this twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. Important point, if you have pets at home, minoxidil is very toxic for dogs and cats, very toxic, and there can be very serious reactions. Therefore, if you have dogs or cats at home, under no circumstances, if you have rubbed minoxidil with your hands, do not touch the animals. Be sure to wash your hands very well. This also applies to pregnant women. Consistency is key. That's what you should do. This includes minoxidil, vitamins, dealing with stress, and working with the gut. If you approach it comprehensively, then the effect lasts longer, and as a result, you will be satisfied. But many people, when they come, they only use minoxidil or just rub some ointment, a cream with biotin. A comprehensive approach yields results. That's why I'm specifically asking the editor to put this in. I even made half of it specifically. Look at what can be achieved with a bit of effort, discipline, and patience.
Is minoxidil still on it, or how much was on it?
Minoxidil is still on it. I use only 5% pharmacy. I spray once a day, and for me, in principle, this is enough. I just sprayed before bed and went to sleep, got up in the morning, washed my head, and that's it, my whole day. But I really want to try to get off it. It's scary, but I'll try.
And if in the morning the dog jumps on the bed licking you all over?
Well, let it not jump. Voices demand sacrifices. I'm joking. In fact, I'm cautious in this regard. My dog just doesn't lick my head. But I wash my hands. Everything is fine, so she doesn't have any problems. By the way, an important thing that I forgot to mention, beard. If you have a bad beard, the same thing can work with the beard. Just use a derma roller, use minoxidil where it grows poorly, and your beard will grow. Yes, I completely forgot about this, but it can be fixed. But remember, because of these drugs, hair can start to grow where it's not really needed. For instance, if you have a bald spot under your lower lip and shave there, hair may start growing on your cheeks due to the proximity. So there are downsides, but there are guys who don't have beards at all. And if you don't have a beard at all, and you're going to use a roller, you're going to use minoxidil, with a high probability, you will grow a good thick beard. This is very likely. This is not just some clickbait. Believe me, it works. I know a lot of people in my environment, seeing photos from the past, I think you were completely beardless. As they all say, minoxidil.
Well, it's like an advertisement. Minoxidil.
Minoxidil is an active ingredient used in many products from dozens of companies, not an advertisement for a specific brand. That is, if you go to a pharmacy and ask or search on the marketplace, you will not buy minoxidil, you will buy some kind of medicine or dietary supplement they also release minoxidil under the guise of a dietary supplement on the markets. That is, I'm not advertising any preparation from any company. I'm not saying they're... Yes, I'm talking about the active substance there. So this is not advertising, friends. This is not advertising. I did not mention the name of the brand that produces minoxidil today. There are also topical remedies, that is the same conditionally finasteride, yes, let's say topical. There are drugs that act locally on our hormones, that is, at the local level we imitate the action of systemic finasteride. This drug is particularly dangerous if you are planning to have children, or if your spouse is pregnant, because these drugs can significantly affect the health of the child, especially the development of his external sexual characteristics. Therefore, be extremely careful if you are planning to have children, or if your spouse is pregnant with these drugs.
People are afraid of minoxidil because it's, well, a one-way street. Everything to the end of your days, what you should need to raise, smear, yes, even to retirement, and you will stop. Everything will immediately fall out later than it will become.
Yes, the question is correct indeed. I was just asked, if I start applying, won't I be able to stop later? Yes, very often you then can't cancel, and as soon as you cancel, there is such a phenomenon of cancellation, cancelled. Hair begins falling out significantly about a week after 3 to 4 treatments usually. Therefore, you can't cancel abruptly. Like any drugs, they need to be gradually and slowly cancelled. For instance, it was 15% then, 5% then, once a day instead of twice, and finally every other day. That is, if you try to leave, then leave gradually. Remembering that some periods of hair loss are associated with certain specific reasons. For example, they initially fell out because there was stress, because there were deficient conditions, because I worked a lot, something was missing. And then after 6 months, a year, you've recovered. And then from that state, you can slowly try to get out. Therefore, it's not always a one-way ticket. Sometimes you can cancel it, but for many, it's a one-way ticket. Therefore, I morally recommend being ready to use it constantly. And only if you're ready for this, because, well, there are downsides. Imagine having to spray every day, because hair after it doesn't really look very good. They become kind of greasy dry. Whoever has sprayed has sat knows. Therefore, there are many disadvantages. It's not very convenient to spray if you have a long, large bun. Therefore, they usually start to wear a short haircut. Therefore, there are many disadvantages. By the way, there are many pitfalls that I also stumbled upon. They are still trying to profit from this, and you buy somewhere in the desire to save on the marketplace, you get a product that seems even good. You switched from 5% to 15% pharmacy-grade product bought on the market. After 3 to 4 weeks, your hair starts to fall out for some reason. At first, you think it's probably the effect of intensifying the therapy, like initially with standard minoxidil, and then you realize that your hair is just falling out because it's a fake. This is probably a problem that many guys who are on minoxidil have encountered. Whether it's from dietary supplements or tablets, it works. A lot of things actually work, but it only works when you really need it. Let's go through the basic parameters, and we'll go through with you with specific doses, with specific numbers, how much of what and how you need to take to recover if you're engaged in trying to restore your hair. Let's start with the first one. You often hear probably biotin from women, especially from their wives. You hear biotin. Biotin is a must. Do you need it? Yes, it's needed. What's the dosage? It's 2 whole 50s, 5 mg per day. I approve of biotin. What it does, it improves the structure of keratin. That's why I plus biotin. Let's move on. Vitamin, the standard dose of vitamin now, according to European recommendations, in general, 600 to 800 per day. But I have my own point of view. It's 2,000 per day. 2,000 is a good preventive dose, so 2,000 vitamin, I think, will help you. And vitamin, I'll remind you again, it's desirable to check iron. Do you need it? If you have anemia, if you have iron deficiency, of course, yes, it's necessary. So check. If there's low ferritin, if there's an iron deficiency, then probably 18 to 25 milligallons per day with a confirmed deficiency will do you good.
If there's no opportunity to get checked, maybe just prophylactically take iron like vitamin C, vitamin D.
I'm in such a position because I produce dietary supplements and I have my own production of dietary supplements. And therefore, I'm very cautious in recommendations. Just drink it. I never recommend anything just to drink, always according to indications. This applies to both medicines and dietary supplements. Take them if there's a deficiency, don't if there isn't. You decide for yourself, so it doesn't look like I'm forcing anyone to do anything. What dietary supplements of my own? I never say drink my iron or drink this. No, choose the brand you trust and please use it. That's why iron, of course, works better when there is a need for it. Omega-3 fatty acids. Yes, the effect that is in scientific articles is a reduction in inflammation, improved blood circulation, and improved nutrition of the hair follicle. That's why we throw 2 grams of eicosapentaenoic acid, docosahexaenoic acid on top during meals every day. Antioxidants are needed, yes, oxidative stress, we need to fight it. For hair, the best vitamin is likely vitamin E at a dose of 100-200 per day. It's necessary for this reason. It's protection from oxidative stress. And by the way, it also improves the blood circulation of the follicle. Let's move on. Silene supports scalp health and strengthens the immune system. Yes, the dose is likely 5,500 micrograms per day. In general, excellent. I love L-arginine. Did you think I was sending you to the hall? No. In fact, it stimulates hair nutrition follicle and improves blood circulation. We are in the hall when we exercise, for what trainer or somewhere we add L-arginine, just to improve blood circulation. And here is the same effect when you traumatize the follicles with this mesoroller, when you spray the vasodilating Minoxidil preparation. What effect? Blood filling? And therefore arginine from 1 to 3 grams, or 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams per day, can help us in the fight against hair loss. Some prefer specific supplements over hormonal drugs, which is understandable. For example, saw palmetto extract, or so-called saw palmetto extract, blocks the conversion of testosterone into dihydrotestosterone and somehow slows down the hair loss process. That's why it's a light method. It works for some, it doesn't work for others. As you know, medicinal and non-medicinal preparations, vitamins, dietary supplements, they work slightly differently. But does SOP Almeta work? It works, yes, it really works. Therefore, SOP Almeta may slow down hair loss from androgenetic alopecia. Collagen? Collagen. You know, there are dietary supplements, and there are quite a few of these supplements that if you look at our so-called DOC-MED, yes, then it should not work in theory. I would attribute collagen to DOC-MED, and I would say that in theory, these are just ordinary amino acids that should not work. And you get the same set of amino acids from ordinary protein. But for some reason it works. I don't know how it works. There is no explanation for this. But for some reason it works. For some reason it works. I'm not against collagen. Whether it works or not, I believe cosmetologist colleagues will comment below this video about its effects. Improve the condition of the skin, head, and hair. Probiotics. There was also a question from you. Does it work? Yes, it works. Health, intestines, and hair are closely connected in 2 ways. First, intestinal issues may cause autoimmune conditions that worsen hair loss. Second, there is another connection between these factors. The intestine is what you ingest all nutrients through. Therefore, even if your food is nutritious and you seem to eat everything, if there are problems with the intestine, you sometimes simply may not absorb something. Therefore, the health of the intestine, yes, it's a very important point, and it greatly affects the health of your head. These are probably the basic things that can help you at home. These are vitamins, mineral microelements, and methods, essentially the basic 2, which by the way are not expensive. Because platelet-rich plasma therapy is expensive, and therefore it's not mandatory. This can be set aside. But, probably finasteride, minoxidil, again, finasteride. If you have androgenetic alopecia, and if your hair is falling out, in any case, whatever the reason was, you will strengthen the growth of the hair follicle if you use these supplements and use, for example, the same minoxidil. I will put all this into a general table so that it would be convenient for you. And I will leave a link to a very convenient scheme in my Telegram channel under this video. There will be a link to a specific post in my Telegram channel. This is a free Telegram channel. Browse and download everything conveniently in one place for your use. For me, this was a very big problem. No matter what anyone tells you, people perceive us by how we look. And in the eyes of society, in the eyes of women, in the eyes of your friends, falling hair is a clear sign of health problems. I'm against it when, either you shave or you go bald. But you go bald when these 3 hairs on the left are combed over and deny that he's balding, but he hasn't gone bald yet. Some, I believe 80% of men. On a timely identified problem, you can get a stunning result. I think if I hadn't taken care of myself, I would be sitting here bald in front of you, and for me that was a very important moment. I'm in a fight, I keep fighting, it seems like it's not falling out. Therefore, my friends, if this problem has started for you, I really hope that this episode was useful for you. So stay healthy, look after your hair, and see you soon.